Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 11 of the Chasing the Racing podcast. It is Tuesday, December 17th, 2019. My name is Kyle Young, here to talk to you guys about all things racing here on this, at least here in central New York, snowy, cold, and miserable evening. You may have noticed that I just said Tuesday instead of Monday. Had to take yesterday for myself, with it being the holiday season. Lots of crazy stuff going on right now, so I was just a little bit too stressed to come on here and do the show. So decided to take last night off, pushed it back to tonight, and here we are now to talk racing. So for those of you who usually watch on a Monday night and are not able to be here tonight, I apologize. To those of you who are here on a Tuesday night and you usually are not able to watch on a Monday night, I welcome you in. Hopefully that doesn't affect too many people. At the very worst, hopefully everybody is still able to check things out on the YouTube version of this show, and everybody can get the content that they are looking for. You may also notice that the camera angle is just a smidge different. That being because I finally have myself a proper computer chair. I've been using one of these chairs that we have with a table and chair set out in our living room, and they have been it has been ridiculously uncomfortable to use for a computer chair. So my dad picked up and brought one over for me. So massive shout out to my dad for doing that for me today. And I now have something way more comfortable to do this show and any other computer related things with. So I'm happy about that. As expected, I guess I can't really say that. But another wild news week for the world of racing this past week. Not really a lot of racing things going on this past week, but a lot of news and ride announcements, schedule announcements, lots of things to get into tonight. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I didn't have enough time getting home from work to kind of plan things the way that I normally do. So doing things a little bit differently, but I do kind of have everything organized, at least to a point where I understand what I'm doing. So I guess that's really all that matters. Well, that's what matters the most. So we'll roll with that and see what happens from here. So let's dive into it. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to start first off. We're going to get all of our pavement racing discussion out of the way first, and then once we get through that, we'll transition over to dirt, talk a lot of things dirt racing, and then if there's anything out there that you guys are interested in talking about that I didn't mention, we'll take over from there. So let's get to it. We'll pick up with one of the, I guess, developing race events and stories that we were talking about as we finished up, as we were doing last week's show, and that would be the Snowball Derby. Lots of groundbreaking things to discuss about with the Snowball Derby. As expected, again, I can't say as expected, but as mentioned in last week's show, if anything was going to change with the Snowball Derby, seeing that things were wrapping up and we were learning things as they were happening, we would update you about those now, and we have things to update you on. It was originally supposed to be Stephen Nasse winning the 52nd annual Snowball Derby last Monday at the Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, but Stephen Nasse was a little bit naughty and was disqualified from his win at the Snowball Derby. This is actually a really good thing to pop up and look at right now. This is apparently the 7th time that the race win was reversed in the Snowball Derby, and the 5th time while in post-race tech. the last time before last week, the race was decided in technical inspection was in 2015. Chase Elliott was awarded the win after Christopher Bell was disqualified in tech inspection. The new winner the new and the legitimate winner of the Snowball Derby from last week is Travis Braden. You may recognize Travis Braden's name. He was an Arca driver this past year, one of the up-and-coming drivers in the stock car racing world. He is the official winner of the 52nd Annual Snowball Derby. After Stephen Nassie's disqualification, he was disqualified for titanium use in his brake system. From what I've heard, the rule is very clear-cut and dry. You are not allowed to use titanium on your race car, period. That was the case for Stephen. He had titanium on the car, and so he was disqualified. So the win was given to Travis Braden after he cleared tech inspection. Full proper race result, or at least the top 10, we'll give you, as we usually always do. And we were talking about this last week, so they're very similar to what you heard last week. But Travis Braden, the official winner of the 52nd Annual Snowball Derby. Jake Garcia finished in second. Cole Butcher was third. Jesse Dutilli fourth. Preston Peltier in fifth. Chandler Smith sixth. Casey Roderick seventh. Hunter Robbins eighth. Dan Fredrickson ninth. And Boris Jerkovic moves up to the 10th place spot that we did not talk about last week, post disqualification. Stephen Nassie dropped a statement after the disqualification. This coming straight from the Stephen Nassie Racing page. He says, in full, quote, First of all, let me start by saying that I have the best guys in the business behind me. My Jet Motorsports guys are amazing, and we had two badass cars tonight. I drove from 36th to 1st with no power steering. We also had the best people supporting us, and one of those people are Bremco Brakes, whom I highly recommend for all your brake needs. We left PFC Brakes because they weren't willing to help us and were playing favorites. The first thing Tech asked us to do is remove the brakes because they had a tip from their major supporter at PFC Brakes, Chris Dilbeck. In our brake system, there was a small titanium cap which does not enhance performance at all. Last year, the winning car was cleared with an illegal motor, which was an advantage. This sport is nothing but playing favorites. I've been the classy guy and the nasty guy, but at the end of the day, I'm just a guy trying to be the best I can and to win the biggest race of my life, and have it taken away like this just sucks. I appreciate all the support, unquote. So, that is Stephen Nassie's direct quote, his words after the disqualification last week. He states in there that the titanium cap has no performance enhancement whatsoever, stating that apparently the winner last year won with an illegal motor. I honestly have no comment about that. That part I don't know. But from listening and doing all the research and information that I have heard from this year's race, is that you are not allowed to have titanium on the car, period. It doesn't say that you are not allowed to run titanium only if it gives you an advantage. You cannot run it, period. And Stephen Nassie ran titanium. Whether this getting a tip thing is legitimate or not, I don't know. But either way, the titanium cap was found, which from if I remember correctly, I guess the titanium has a difference in temperature transfer to the brakes. Like the titanium can help either. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the titanium can help absorb heat to keep the brakes cooler. Nassie states that that's not the case, but either way, the titanium was found. You can't have it. Stephen Nassie disqualified, and Travis Braden given the win after he did clear tech. It's just one of those unfortunate situations that just gives racing as a whole a black eye, in my opinion. Cheating happens way too much. It's disgusting how often it happens, and this is just another story. It's clearly not something new for the Snowball Derby, as we mentioned a few minutes ago. This is the 7th time that this has happened in the event's history. Maybe eventually people will or these stories won't happen as often as they do. Clearly in NASCAR, that has changed because we did not have any illegal winning race cars in the Cup Series this year. We did have one in the Truck Series. I think Ross Chastain's win in the Truck Series this year was the only winner that was disqualified. I know that there were other disqualifications, but... or no, that's not true. There was a disqualification. AJ Allmendinger's been... well, no, that wasn't for a win. There was somebody was disqualified for a win in the Xfinity Series because Cole Custer got a win that way. So it happened in the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series this year, but it did not happen in the Cup Series. So, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get to a point where we don't see that stuff happening, but at least for now, the cheating issue is still an issue, and Stephen Nasse, the latest victim of that. Speaking of NASCAR, we'll transition into some NASCAR news up next here. It appears that the next test session for the next-gen car is going to be at the Homestead Miami Speedway sometime in January. Last week, Joey Logano tested the car at ISM Raceway, a 2-day test last Monday and Tuesday. He had some very awesome things to say about the car. We got to see what the car looks like what the body lines look like of the car. And they're going to test again in January at Homestead. Apparently, from what I was hearing at the radio or on the radio last week, they had like 60 different things that they wanted to change about the car after Austin Dillon's test at Richmond. So that's quite impressive. I guess we'll have to see what is changed or how many things are changed for the Homestead test next month. But there will be another test. Well, obviously there's going to be another test. The next test will be next month at the Homestead Miami Speedway. At least for what I have, that's coming from the Motor Racing Media 24/7 Facebook page. It does not list who the driver is going to be. So I guess we'll have to wait for that. But we will have another test next month for the next gen car. Some ride news. Some drivers landing some rides in the NASCAR world this past week, starting in the Cup Series. This is one that I was afraid of that was going to happen, and unfortunately did. John Hunter Nemechek has been confirmed to be racing for Front Row Motorsports next year. The Front Row Motorsports team is also downsizing from 3 teams to 2. So kind of a 2-part announcement with Front Row Motorsports last week. John Hunter Nemechek will be the driver of the 38 Front Row Motorsports car. Michael McDowell will stay in the 34, and there just will not be a 36 car. I am not a fan of John Hunter Nemechek. I lost just about all respect for him after the whole Cole Custer Canada win BS that went down a few years ago. And just watching him throughout the years, he does a lot of stupid shit on the racetrack that he really shouldn't be doing for his experience level. By no stretch of the imagination do I feel like he is ready to make the move to Cup. This is kind of a situation where his current ride was folding. Somebody else had a ride that was opening up, and it allowed him to step in and take advantage of it. Now, by no means am I saying that John Hunter Nemechek is a terrible driver. Not at all what I'm saying. He does have talent. He has shown that he can be competitive. He has a handful of wins in the Truck Series in his dad's truck, which isn't one of the top teams in the Truck Series. He does have a win in the Xfinity Series that came last year at Kansas while he was racing for Chip Ganassi Racing. Went winless this year in the Xfinity Series. He did make the playoffs. He did finish 7th in the championship standings. I'll actually pull up the championship standings to give a more detailed review or a detailed summary of his year. Finished 7th in the championship. ran the entire season, 6 top 5 finishes, 19 top 10 finishes, 0 stage wins, 0 wins. To me, that's not a driver that's ready to move up to the Cup Series. Let's look at Matt Tifft, who John Hunter was subbing in for at the end of this year. Matt Tifft, who I think is a good race car driver and is a great person, made the move into the Cup Series this year for his first year, and he was pretty much irrelevant for the entire year. You never really heard anything about him. He never really did anything worth mentioning. He was just kind of a field filler, and that was probably because he was moved up too quickly. Matt Tifft does not have any National Series wins, and found his way in the Cup Series. Now, that's not the case with John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter does have wins, as I just said. He has a single Xfinity win, multiple wins in the Truck Series, but I don't feel like that is a driver that's ready for the Cup Series. You look at Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, those guys who are moving up, extremely accomplished drivers. Many wins, contending for championships, easily making the playoffs, winning stages, leading laps. Like, they have clearly shown that they are ready to make the move to Cup. John Hunter hasn't. And here he is with a full-time Cup ride. So I don't think this looks very good. Of course, I'm not the team owner, so I obviously have no say. Just my opinion. And I'm also taking my personal opinions aside. It's a shame to see him make this move like this. In my mind, being unprepared. But if he truly is unprepared, it'll show on the racetrack, kind of like it showed with Matt Tifft. Again, not really trying to make fun of Matt Tifft. I like Matt Tifft, but he wasn't prepared, and it showed. So we'll see what happens with John Hunter. Now, John Hunter did have some success this year. I think he had like a top 20 finish his first time out at Texas, which is great. But it's the consistency thing. How well can you do it over an entire season, week to week, and how can you grow? So maybe he's going to shut me up and make me look like a doofus with an insane year, but we'll wait to see what happens with that. In the Xfinity Series, we had some news about Stewart-Haas Racing and their organization. Now, this is a post that was made by Crew Chief's Corner on Facebook. Since after reading this post, there has been some information that I heard on NASCAR radio that I can update based off of this. Their Facebook post says, "We have confirmed with a source connected to Stewart-Haas Racing that the team has laid off the 00 Xfinity Series team yesterday. The 98 team is expected to continue with Chase Briscoe behind the wheel." Now, there are some truths and some falses to that statement. It does sound like Chase Briscoe is going to continue racing with Stewart-Haas Racing next year. It does sound like Stewart-Haas Racing is going to stay in the Xfinity Series. It's just that we don't know which team is going to fold or not. This post says that it is the 00 team. From what I heard on NASCAR radio, there is no confirmation as to which team it is that is going to fold, whether it will be the 00 or the 98. So we do have to still wait for some of all that information to come out. And of course, Chase Briscoe driving is not confirmed. It is just expected. So either way, it seems fairly likely that Stewart-Haas Racing will shrink from a 2-car to a 1-car Xfinity Series team, and that Chase Briscoe will stay with the team. Again, nothing confirmed here. These are just kind of rumors or some expectations, or expectations is the right thing to say there. Of course, once things do come out in concrete, we will obviously update that with the truth, but that's kind of what's floating around for right now, and what we can tell you about that situation. Some news also in all 3 divisions. Well, really all 4 if you want to count Arca as well. Some Truck Series rides were announced this past week. Actually, I also, while I just thought of that, I heard it and didn't put it into the group, so this is why I didn't pull it up. But there is another driver announcement in the Cup Series this past week as well. Brennan Poole is going to be taking over the number 15 Premium Motorsports car in 2020 to run the entire season for Rookie of the Year honors. So that gives us 5 rookies for 2020. You'll have John Hunter Nemechek, Brennan Poole, Tyler Reddick, Cole Custer, and Christopher Bell, all fighting for Rookie of the Year. So Brennan Poole coming back to the world of NASCAR. He will race full-time next year for Premium Motorsports in their number 15 car in 2020. Now getting on to what I was going to say. Ty Majeski has landed himself a full-time ride in the Truck Series. Okay. That's not... Alright, that link is being stupid. But anyway, Ty Majeski has landed himself a full-time ride for Nice Motorsports in the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series for 2020. He will be driving the number 45 truck that Ross Chastain raced this year. Ross Chastain will be graduating back to the Xfinity Series to race full-time for Colleague Racing in, I believe, their number 10 car next year. So that leaves an opening for Nice Motorsports. Here comes Ty Majeski. He's going to have his shot at NASCAR once again. Majeski ran a partial schedule last year in the Xfinity Series for Jack Roush. It did not go very well. So he lost his ride and has not... I think he may have made... Maybe he's made a start in a couple starts or something in the trucks this year. I don't quite remember. But I think he ran 6 Arca races this year. He won 3 of them. So he is starting to find some success in the major world of stock car racing, away from his super late model stuff, of course. And now he will be coming back to NASCAR to race full-time for Nice Motorsports in the number 45 truck next year. Nice Motorsports obviously has been put on the map this past year with the success that they had with Ross Chastain, winning multiple races, making the playoffs, making the championship 4, and finishing second in the championship. So obviously Ty Majeski has some pretty big shoes to fill. Nice Motorsports was one of those smaller teams before Ross Chastain came in. Not really many people knew about them. Ross absolutely ridiculously elevated that program and has definitely given a good foundation for Ty Majeski to take over with it next year. So the pressure will definitely be on Ty, and we'll see if his second attempt at NASCAR will go better than his first. Also in the Truck Series, lots of big news coming out this past week and even today as well. With DGR Crosley, they are making the switch from Toyota to Ford in 2020. That is the team that is owned by David Gilliland. They also made some driver announcements this past week. Let's see. This is an article from NASCAR.NBCSports.com. They said this was announced last Wednesday, by the way. It says in here, Ford Performance is strengthening its driver development program by joining forces with DGR Crosley, which announced its move to Toyota from Toyota to Ford Wednesday, again last week. The multi-year agreement will see team co-owner David Gilliland, a former Cup Series driver, lead the team's driver development program as it fields entries in late models, the Arca Menard Series, and NASCAR Gainer RV and Outdoors Truck Series. Mark Rushbrook, the global director of Ford Performance Motorsports, said in a press release, quote, "We're very excited to have DGR Crosley come to Ford as part of our long-term efforts to develop drivers for NASCAR. We have just scratched the surface of what is possible in developing the next generation of Ford drivers with people like Chase Briscoe, and we believe a coordinated effort with a team like DGR Crosley will help move that process forward successfully." David Gilliland was a trusted and valued Ford driver in NASCAR for many years, and we look forward to renewing that relationship with him in this new effort, unquote. David said himself, quote, "I'm super excited about the partnership with Ford and how things are lining up for 2020. I spent a lot of time racing Fords throughout my career, and it's really special to now be able to bring them into our race shop. A lot of time and consideration was spent on this decision, and internally we know that this is the move that we needed to make in order to advance our program to the top level. We have a great group of hardworking, talented people at DGR Crosley, and with Ford coming on board, our future is really bright. We're excited for all of the things ahead," unquote. At this moment in time, when this article was released, there was no information about driver lineups. Now we do have some information about drivers. We know that Tanner Gray is going to join the team for the entire Truck Series schedule in 2020. Tanner Gray, I think he was the 2018 Pro Stock champion in NHRA drag racing, made the move over to stock cars this year. Had himself a fairly successful year, and I believe he ran Arca, and will now make the transition to trucks next year. It was rumored once that previous post was shared last week, and confirmed today that Hailie Deegan is going to join the team as well. She is going to make the transition from Toyota to Ford, and she will race the entirety of the 2020 Arca Menard Series with DGR Crosley, and she will also make select starts in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, racing a Mustang GT4 in that series. Kind of some talks about maybe she'll run some truck races next year. The announcement today mentioned nothing about any trucks and any truck racing for 2020. So at least at the moment, she's not going truck racing. Depending on how things go, could determine whether that does or does not happen at all next year. But she has made it very clear that her and the team are extremely committed to Arca next year and their IMSA deal. So that is going to be the absolute forefront of racing for Hailie Deegan in 2020. So she seems like she's got a really good head on her shoulders. She's trying not to rush things, and she's really trying to develop herself in the proper way that she should, which is great to hear, because I personally really do think that she could be somebody, a successful talent in this sport, and may finally be that female driver that has a breakout performance in NASCAR. She's had success in racing up thus far. She's a 3-time winner in the K&N Series, which is now Arca. She's going to run the big Arca Series full-time next year, so we'll see how she does. I was a big fan of her dad as a kid growing up, so I do want to see her succeed. But on top of that, learning what I have from her is it seems like she is an extremely intelligent woman and knows what she is trying to chase and the right way to chase it. So it'll be fun to see her race next year. Hopefully it all works out for the best. Heading north of the border, the NASCAR Pinty Series announced their schedule for the 2020 racing year. Their season will start Sunday, May 17th at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park up in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. They will run a total of, let's see, if it mentions in the article, I'm going to have to count. Okay, so they will race. They will have a 13-race schedule in 2020, as just said, kicking off at CTMP. Then on Saturday, June 6th, they go to the Jacasa Motor Speedway in Hagersville, Ontario. Autodrome Chaudier, Saturday, June 27th, in Vallée Jonction, however you say that in French, Quebec. Independence Day for us here in America, Saturday, July 4th, they will race at Sunset Speedway, and then they'll go to Exhibition Place on Friday, July 10th. Edmonton International Raceway will be their next race on Saturday, July 25th. Then they have a doubleheader race day at Wyant Group Raceway on Wednesday, July 29th. Circuit Trois Rivers will return to the schedule Sunday, August 9th. Big event here. The series is going to go dirt racing for the very first time at Ohsweken Speedway on Tuesday, August 18th. I'm super jealous of everybody that is going to be at that race. I love Ohsweken. I need to get back to Ohsweken one of these days. I absolutely will. But that is going to be awesome. This series will then return to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park on Sunday, September 6th. Circuit I-Car 6 days later on Saturday, September 12th. And they will wrap up their season on Saturday, September 26th at the Jacasa Motor Speedway once again. Couple things to note: the last couple of years, the series has been racing at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That will not happen in 2020, and they also will not be racing at Riverside Speedway as well in 2020. So some interesting changes there for the NASCAR Pinty Series. And it will all kick off Sunday, May 17th at CTMP. Stepping away from the NASCAR world at least a little bit, but the schedule was released for the 2020 New Smyrna World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. This is the major event that New Smyrna starts their year off with during all of Florida Speed Weeks is really the best way to call it, in early February. The 54th edition of the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing is going to take place February 7th through the 15th. And actually it says Florida Speed Weeks. Look at that. As it usually does. Some of the divisions that will compete under the NASCAR Wheel-It All-American Series banner going to be Tour Type Modifieds, Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Florida Modifieds, and some other divisions. They will have a practice night on February 6th, and then the first night of racing will be on February 7th. That first night will have Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Florida Modifieds, Sportsmen, and Bombers. Night number 2 will feature Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Sportsmen, and Mod Minis. Night 3, Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Florida Modifieds. Night number 4, Tour Modifieds, and the Arca Menards Series East opener. I'm hoping to be there for that one. Then on night 5, you'll have Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Florida Modifieds, and Tour Modifieds. Night 6, Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Florida Modifieds, and the John Blewett Memorial Tour Modified 76 lap race. Night number 7, Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Florida Modifieds, Tour Modifieds. The penultimate night will be the Zach Donati Memorial Pro Late Model 100 race. Sportsman, Ground Pounders, the Richie Evans Memorial Modified 100, and Pro Truck. And then the final night on February 15th, you'll have Orange Blossom Super Late Model 100 lap race, the Florida Modifieds, Sportsman's, LKQ Super Stocks, and Pro Trucks. So lots of racing going on, as always, for the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing at the New Smyrna Speedway. The 54th annual racing event will kick off on February 6th with a practice date, and then racing will start February 7th through the 15th. So if you are down in Florida, obviously lots of racing to be done in February, and New Smyrna Speedway may have what you are looking for at least one of those nights. An article that was shared with us earlier today, the Granite State Pro Stock Series has announced their 2020 schedule. We have a lot of 2020 schedules to talk about on this show tonight, just letting you know ahead of time. This is an article from racedayct.com. It says here that in 2020, the Granite State Pro Stock Series will visit 11 tracks across 5 states. The series, in its 9th year of operation, will undertake its most ambitious schedule to date, with one new venue and plenty of great racing for competitors and fans alike. The series will kick off at the Claremont Motorsports Park in Claremont, New Hampshire, as the Third Mile Oval has become the traditional opener for the series. Mike Parks has taken on the challenge of promoting not only the series, but his home track, so having both openers at the same location will work well. The New Hampshire Oval will also host the annual Labor Day Spectacular, which has quickly become one of the most popular races the series holds. It has also become the highest paying event on the schedule and a favorite among competitors. And then it kind of just goes on and lists like information about all the races. So we'll just chit-chat with you here about what the schedule actually is. There's a track on here in New York. Look at that. Wow. That's pretty cool. So the series, as just mentioned, it kicks off April 25th at Claremont. On April 19th, they're going to have a test at Claremont. Then race number 2, they're going to go to Star Speedway on May 9th, Lee USA Speedway on May 17th, Monadnock Speedway on May 23rd, Riverside Speedway, which was the former Speedway 51, they changed the name, in Groveton, New Hampshire on June 13th. New London Waterford Speed Bowl on June 20th. That is a tentative date. They'll head back to Lee USA Speedway on July 3rd. Hudson International Speedway on July 12th. Beach Ridge Speedway July 24th. Monadnock Speedway on August 1st. Surprisingly, Adirondack International Speedway for 150 laps of racing on August 15th. I have to see if there's anything going on August 15th. Can I go to that race? That would be really cool to go to. Quick interruption to check my own schedule. August 15th. That's a Saturday. I have to skip a day at Fulton if I wanted to do that, but it might be worth it. Then they'll go back to Claremont Motorsports Park on September 6th, 100 laps at Star Speedway September 18th, Seekonk Speedway on September 25th and the 26th. Then on October 4th, they will race at Lee USA Speedway, and then a tentative date for their finale, a 50-lapper at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park on October 10th. So there is your 2020 Granite State Pro Stock Series schedule. So if you are in the Northeast New England area and are a fan of Pro Stock Series racing, the Granite State Pro Stock Series will have you covered. Lots of events for 2020. Worth noting that Adirondack race is also a tentative race date, so I kind of hope that stays. Well, stays at Adirondack, period. It'd be nice to go check out something new. So there you have it, the 2020 Granite State Pro Stock Series schedule. Transitioning to some Australian pavement racing news, V8 Supercar champion Scott McLaughlin is going to have himself an IndyCar test. This is coming from an article on Racer.com. Team Penske will give its champion supercars driver Scott McLaughlin a ride in one of its Chevy-powered Indy cars in January at Sebring International Raceway. The New Zealander has been a revelation for DGR Team Penske, winning consecutive titles in dominant fashion for the Ford Mustang team, and with a rookie evaluation test day to use, the defending NTT IndyCar Series champions looked within its vast organization to fill the seat. Scott said, quote, "I am always open to new challenges, and I'm thankful to Team Penske for providing this opportunity to test an IndyCar. We had an amazing year in 2019, and I'm looking forward to defending our Supercars championship next season. I'm also excited to grow as a driver, and being with Team Penske creates cool opportunities to try something new. Although I have spent a few hours in a simulator earlier this year, it's going to be a blast to see what one really feels like at a place like Sebring." Unquote. The test on Monday, January 13th, comes after McLaughlin broke the Supercars single-season victory record, pushing the number out to 18 wins over the course of the year in the number 17 entry. Roger himself said that, quote, "Scott has been incredibly successful for DGR Team Penske over the last 3 seasons, and he has become a true champion of our sport. He certainly embraces new challenges, and we think this is a great opportunity to utilize the IndyCar Series rookie testing program so Scott can experience what it is like to get behind the wheel of one of our Indy cars," unquote. With the Kiwis' upcoming test in the Penske open-wheel car, while the Kiwis' upcoming test run in a Penske open-wheel car is a perfect gift for all he's delivered in Australia, McLaughlin's talents could be an even better fit for the captain's IMSA program, where he fields the Acura Team Penske Daytona prototype international effort on behalf of the brand. The Supercars to IndyCar crossover will be a first among Penske's stable of drivers, although Will Power went in the other direction, following up on his 2002 V8 Supercar debut by returning as a Penske driver to race at the Gold Coast 600 in 2010 and 2012. Simon Pagenaud, Penske's 2016 IndyCar title winner and 2019 Indy 500 winner, also competed at the Gold Coast 600 prior to joining the team, and like Power, would be perfectly suited to draw upon Supercars' experience while assisting McLaughlin in learning to drive their cars. So some awesome news there for Scott McLaughlin. He's going to test out an IndyCar on Monday, January 13th at the Sebring International Raceway. Don't know what that's going to do in the future. Obviously, as it said there in the article, he's going to defend his Supercars championship next year. But who knows? Scott is still a fairly young driver. You never know what you could see him do in the future. The last little piece of news on the pavement racing side before we go dirt racing for a little while is this was just posted in our group before the show. The Milwaukee Mile is going to bring back racing again in 2020 after an event that they held there this year. It states, this is coming from the Midwest Tour.Racing website. The second annual racing event set for June 14th at Milwaukee Mile. After a highly successful 2019 return to racing at the famed Milwaukee Mile, officials from the Wisconsin State Fair Park and Track Enterprises are happy to announce that stock car racing will be back on Sunday, June 14th for a second annual event. Last year, 4 divisions of racing put on a great show for a large group of race fans hungry for action at the Milwaukee Mile. Over 100 drivers were on track for the 2019 race, with Austin Nason besting a field of nearly 40 super late models in the headline event. Quote, "It was a huge win for us last year, being the first race there in many years. Really looking forward to going back, as it's a really fast track and close to home," unquote, stated Nason, last year's winner. The Arca Midwest Tour Super Late Models will again headline the show in 2020 with a 100-lap event. Joining them will be the Midwest Trucks, Mid-American Stock Cars, and the Upper Midwest Vintage Series. Practice day is planned for Saturday, June 13th, with final practice, qualifying, preliminary events, and feature racing getting underway at 1 p.m. on Sunday, June 14th, with the main events to follow. There will also be a street drag event on Saturday night once open practice comes to an end. Track Enterprises, one of the nation's leading motorsports promotions companies, produces over 80 events annually throughout America's heartland. Former auto racing promoter of the year, Bob Sargent, and Track Enterprises are proud to bring racing back to the Milwaukee Mile for the second year in a row. Bob said, quote, "The turnout for last year's event was better than expected, even with the less than favorable weather that we had. We are really looking forward to making this year's event even better after having last year under our belt," unquote, again coming from Bob Sargent. So some awesome news there about the Milwaukee Mile. They're going to go racing again in 2020. Not a racetrack that has seen a lot of racing action over the last few years. Of course, the NASCAR world used to race there for many years. One of the tracks that NASCAR has lost over the last handful as of late, and they will be coming back next year for some more racing. So that is really good to read, and hopefully they have another successful event and can maybe start bringing some more races in on a more regular basis to that racetrack. Alrighty. I do a lot of talking, so I need to fuel myself with Ziwata. Lots of things to discuss in the dirt racing world tonight. A ton of schedules were released this past week, and we're going to dive right into it. First off, the Bob Hilbert Sportswear Short Track Super Series, fueled by Sunoco, they announced their schedules for both the North region, the South region for the Modifieds, and the Sportsman schedules as well. This has been announced for a while now, but just since it's on the schedule, it's worth mentioning. The series is going to kick off the 2020 racing season down in Florida in February at the All-Tech Raceway in Lake City, Florida. They're going to be down there February 5th through the 8th. They will have an open practice on Wednesday the 5th. Then Thursday the 6th, they will start racing. Modifieds will race for $5,000 to win. Crate Sportsman will race for $1,250 to win. Friday the 7th, the Modifieds will race for $7,500 to win. And then the Sportsman will go for $1,250. And then the big event on Saturday will be a $10,000 to win race for the Modifieds and $1,500 to win for the Sportsman. It's kind of a standalone short track Super Series race. It doesn't really fit into either one of the schedules for points, but it is going to be a short track Super Series race nonetheless, and will kick off the year earlier than what they will be able to do up here in New York. The Hallmark International North Region will kick off on Sunday, April 19th at the Orange County Fair Speedway in Middletown, New York. Then they will go to Outlaw Speedway in Dundee, New York on Wednesday, May 13th. Thunder Mountain Speedway on Sunday, May 24th. They will have their combination event with both the North and South Series on Tuesday, June 2nd at the Big Diamond Speedway. Tuesday, June 16th at Afton Motorsports Park will be the next event, the Firecracker 50. Second time that they're doing that event. That will be at Fonda Speedway on Wednesday, July 1st. Tuesday, July 14th, we'll see them race at the Accord Speedway in Accord, New York. Tuesday, August 11th, Woodhall Raceway will host the Hustle in the High Banks 56. Friday and Saturday, October 9th and 10th, is the American Racer Cup Short Track Super Nationals at Afton Motorsports Park. And then the season will wind up with a hard clay finale on Thursday, October 22nd at the Orange County Fair Speedway. So the Hallmark International North region will start and end at the Orange County Fair Speedway. The Velocity USA South region is going to kick off on Friday and Saturday, March 6th and 7th at the Georgetown Speedway in Georgetown, Delaware for the Melvin L. Joseph Memorial. They will then make their third annual trip to the Port Royal Speedway in Port Royal, Pennsylvania on Sunday, March 22nd. Wednesday, April 29th, we'll see the series compete at the Delaware International Speedway. Wednesday, May 27th, they will race at Alright, so I've been seeing a lot of places calling it Bridgeport Motorsports Park. So the track is having a big renovation project. They're getting rid of their 3/8 mile track and they're shrinking the 5/8 down to a half-mile track. Makes me think that they're going to rebrand it Bridgeport Motorsports Park, but everything that I'm seeing on social media still says Bridgeport Speedway. So either way, Bridgeport Speedway / Motorsports Park on Wednesday, May 27th. As mentioned, the combo event race at Big Diamond on June 2nd. Baps Motor Speedway Sunday, July 19th. Tuesday, August 25th, back at Georgetown Speedway for Blast at the Beach. And then they will wrap up their season also at Georgetown Speedway for the Mid-Atlantic Championship weekend on October 30th and the 31st. They also have their sportsman schedules announced. Those sportsman schedules are exactly the same races and nights as the modifieds. They just don't run all of the events that the modifieds do. But most of the dates that you have the Short Track Super Series modifieds racing, you will also have the sportsman racing as well. So very much looking forward to getting down to Florida in February to check these guys out. I've never been to Alltech Raceway before, so that'll be a first. And getting some modified love while I'm down in Florida for all my NASCAR stuff will be great. So looking forward to that. I'm already looking forward to racing season next year. I've been away from the racetrack for like 2.5 weeks, and I'm ready to get back. So should be cool. Should be very, very fun. On the other side of the dirt modified world, the Super Dirt Car Series schedule was announced this past week. Quite a few changes in their schedule, to say the least. Things will start out as they always do at the Dirt Car Nationals, February 11th through the 15th at Volusia Speedway Park. The points paying series will kick off on April 11th at the Can-Am Speedway. Then they go to Weedsport Speedway May 25th, Albany Saratoga Speedway June 23rd, Cornwall Motor Speedway June 28th, Lay RPM Speedway June 29th, Land of Legends Raceway July 2nd, back to the Oswegan Speedway on July 6th, Ransomville Speedway July 7th, Autodrome Granby July 20th, Autodrome Drummond July 21st, Weedsport Speedway again July 26th, the Orange County Fair Speedway on July 28th, Bridgeport Speedway July 29th, Thunder Mountain Speedway just became Dirt Car sanctioned for next year. They will have their very first Super Dirt Car Series race on August 4th. Land of Legends Raceway for their second of 3 races on August 13th. Mr. Dirt Track USA at Lebanon Valley Speedway will be on September 5th. September 6th, they will race at Utica Rome Speedway. Third and final race of the year at Weedsport Speedway on September 12th. The third Land of Legends race on September 19th. Back to Albany, Saratoga on September 26th. You have the Super Dirt Week 200 event on October 11th. Brockville, Ontario Speedway on October 16th. Coming back to the series is the Eastern States 200. That will be an official Super Dirt Car Series race in 2020 on October 25th. And then you'll have the World Finals November 6th and 7th for the final 2 points paying events. Your Super Dirt Week qualifier events are going to be at Albany Saratoga Speedway on June 23rd. Ohsweken Speedway on July 6th. Wheatsport Speedway, July 26th. Orange County Fair Speedway, July 28th. Lebanon Valley Speedway, September 5th. Wheatsport Speedway, September 12th. Land of Legends Raceway, September 19th. And Albany Saratoga Speedway on September 26th. So, lots of change there. You have Ohsweken Speedway coming back to the schedule after being off for a year or two. Bridgeport Speedway is coming back after being off for, I think, a year. Thunder Mountain Speedway gets its first race ever with the Super Dirt Car Series. And as mentioned, the Eastern States 200 becomes a series race once again. Some unfortunate drops on the schedule would be Burton Speedway, Fulton Speedway, Mohawk International Raceway, Airborne Park Speedway, and I think maybe another track or two that I can't quite think off the top of my head right now. Outlaw Speedway, not on the series this year. From what I had heard, and this is just rumor, so don't take me up on my word completely for it. Apparently, Flow Racing and WRG are making Flow Racing like the sole recorder and broadcaster for the Super Dirt Car Series next year. Flow Racing usually does live broadcasting work. Brewerton and Fulton, they have their own video team, Thomas Video Productions. They don't do live streams, they just record the races and they make DVDs and sell them out to the public. They also do weekly highlight videos for the tracks every week for their weekly shows. Apparently John White, the owner of Brewerton and Fulton Speedways, he didn't want to ditch Thomas Video for those events. He wanted to stay loyal to them. The series and WRG is not doing that, so they no longer have their racing, or their Super Dirt Car Series races. Now, they will still have their races as a part of the Dirt Car 358 Modified Series. So the Burton Speedway will still have the Hurricane 100, which, from what I'm hearing, is going to be changed to the Hurricane 75. Stupid if that happens, but whatever. And then on April 24th and 25th, the High Bank Hold-Up that has happened for the... Well, it hasn't happened the last couple of years because of rain, but the High Bank Hold-Up is scheduled to happen April 24th and 25th of next year to kick off Fulton's season. That will now be a 358 race instead of a Super Dirt Car Series race. So, sucks to see my two home tracks lose SDS races, but at least there will be 358 races there. Something's better than nothing. And the 358 Modified Series is fairly entertaining to watch as is, so I'm not complaining about it too much. It just stinks that you don't really have all the big boys there. So, but it's great to see that those schedules are out, and looking forward to it for sure. Speaking of the 358 Dirt Car 358 Modified Series Tour, their schedule was released this week as well. As mentioning, it will start off on Saturday, April 25th at Fulton Speedway for the High Bank Hold-Up. They will then race on Sunday, May 10th at Utica Rome Speedway, Sunday, July 12th at Cornwall Motor Speedway, Monday, July 13th at Mohawk International Raceway, Monday, July 27th at Autodrome Granby, Autodrome Drummond, Tuesday, July 28th at Autodrome Granby, Friday, September 11th at Can-Am Speedway, Friday, September 18th at Mohawk International Raceway, and then they get really busy during Super Dirt Week, Tuesday, October 6th at Utica Rome Speedway, Wednesday, October 7th at Weedsport Speedway, Thursday, October 8th at Brewerton Speedway. They will have their big Super Dirt Week race on Saturday, October 10th at Oswego Speedway, and then they'll finish their season off on Saturday, October 17th at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway. So a nice schedule there for the Dirt Car 358 Modified Series. The 358 Modifieds have been a growing class over the last over the last 2 years here in the central New York region. So it'll be fun to see how... I thought I kept something up. It will be fun to see how that series or that class continues to evolve and grow. And of course, who will join the tour and make the tour a regular thing for them in 2020. I'm sorry, I'm messing around with things right now that I thought I left open. Dirt Car Sportsman, all the Dirt Car Touring Series were announced this week. The Dirt Car Sportsman Series, they do things differently than the two previously mentioned series. They divide their series up. They've done this, I think this is like the second or third year they've done this now. They divide their series up into regions, and then towards the end of the year they have like their big like normal schedule, I guess you could say. So you have the Central North and West region, and then the Fall Championship Challenge. So the Central region starts Friday, April 24th at Fulton. They then race Sunday, June 14th at Utica Rome Speedway, Saturday, June 27th at Land of Legends Raceway, Wednesday, July 1st at Can-Am Speedway, Sunday, July 26th at Weed Sports Speedway, Friday, September 11th back at Can-Am Speedway, Friday, September 18th at Brewerton Speedway, and Saturday, September 19th at the Land of Legends Raceway. So that is the Central Region schedule. The North Region schedule kicks off on Saturday, June 6th at Lay RPM Speedway. Thursday, June 25th is race number 2 at Mohawk International Raceway. Friday, June 26th, the series will race at Autodrome Granby. Saturday, September 19th, they will compete at Mohawk International Raceway. And then there is a to-be-announced date at Cornwall Motor Speedway at some point in that mix. The West Region will kick off on Sunday, May 17th at Humberstone Speedway. That says Humberstone, New York, but that is a Canadian racetrack. Monday, May 18th at Maryville Speedway. Tuesday, July 7th at Ransomville Speedway. Friday, September 11th at Freedom Motorsports Park. And then their season will wrap up Friday and Saturday, September 25th and 26th at the Brighton Speedway. The Fall Championship Challenge kicks off on Outlaw 200 weekend, October 2nd and 3rd at Fulton Speedway, and then they kind of go through the crazy Super Dirt Week schedule as well. October 6th at Utica Rome, the 7th at Weedsport, the 8th at Brewerton. Sportsman race their main event for Super Dirt Week on Sunday, October 11th at Oswego. Saturday, October 17th at Brockville, Ontario Speedway, and then they are a part of the World Short Track Championships as a non-points event at the Dirt Track at Charlotte. October 30th. Wait a minute. That's weird. Okay, so I now have to try to figure out what is accurate. That central schedule may be the only thing accurate, because reading through those dates for the Fall Championship are this year's dates, because Halloween is not on a Thursday next year. Halloween's on a Saturday next year. Yeah, so I now have to see which of those that I just read off is legit, because I have no idea. Thursday the 25th. Okay, so the North region looks legit. I know for a fact that the Central region is good. Sunday. Whoa, whoops. Okay, no, that is good. Is it just the Super Dirt Week dates? Okay, no. Okay, all right. My apologies here. The only issue with the schedule that they have are the World Short Track Championship dates. Everything else makes sense. It's just that. That's the only thing that's screwed up with it. Because those are Those are not the proper dates. Those are this year's dates. So scrolling up into the article, return to the Driven World Short Track Championship as a headline division on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, October 31st to the 2nd. But that's not... Those are this year's dates. So I would assume maybe then that next year's dates for the World Short Track Championship would be the 29th through the 31st. Okay, 29th through the 31st. That's the only confusion thing that's ruining me here. So everything else that you heard is accurate. It's just that the World Short Track Championship to end the Dirt Car 350 Sportsman Series. I'm sorry, Dirt Car Sportsman Series is Thursday, October 29th through the 31st, not Thursday, October 31st through November 2nd. I apologize. My bad. The last Dirt Car Series to announce their season schedule for 2020 is the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series. They kick things off at Autodrome Granby on June 12th. They then go to Cornwall Motor Speedway on July 5th, Glen Ridge Motorsports Park on July 26th, Can-Am Speedway on September 11th, Wheat Sport Speedway on September 12th, Mohawk International Raceway on September 19th, Albany Saratoga Speedway on September 26th. They also race Super Dirt Week on Sunday, October 11th at Oswego, and then they will race Saturday, October 31st as part of the World Short Track Championship as well. There is a to-be-announced date at Lebanon Valley Speedway that will be part of the series. It is just not yet determined as far as when. So those are your schedules for the Short Track Super Series, the Super Dirt Car Series, the Dirt Car 358 Modified Series, the Dirt Car Sportsman Series, and the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series for 2020. You would think that that's all the schedule announcements that we have, but wait, there's more. USAC announced all three of their schedules this past week for the Sprint Cars, Midgets, and Silver Crown. I'm not going to go through the entire schedule for all of these because there are way too many races to do that. We'll just highlight some big events and stuff. So for the 2020 USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Championship, their season will kick off on February 13th at the Bubba Raceway Park. They race there for 3 days, and then they're off until the beginning of April, where things get normal from there. They're going to have 2 race days at Eldora on May 8th and 9th. The popular Eastern Storm event is going to happen June 9th through the 14th. They'll race Grandview Speedway on June 9th, Bridgeport Speedway June 10th, Baps Motor Speedway June 11th. They'll have a day off June 12th before they go back to Port Royal Speedway on June 13th, and then close it off at Wheat Sport Speedway on June 14th. We talked about Indiana Sprint Week already in a previous show, but that is going to be going on July 24th, 5th, and 6th, and then July 29th through August 1st. Big event at Kokomo Speedway, August 26th through the 29th. And then they finish off their season at the Arizona Speedway November 13th and 14th after the Budweiser Nationals, I think they're called, at the Paris Auto Speedway on November 5th through the 7th. So there are some of your dates for the USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Series for 2020. 46 races, 23 different racetracks, 14 different states that all of those, or that series is going to compete at. So pretty cool statistic for you there about that. As for the midgets, this will be the largest midget schedule that the series has ever hit. No, that's not true. Is it? No, it's the largest schedule since 1988. Largest midget schedule since 1988 for 2020. The 65th season for midget racing. 39 events in 2020. mix of first-time venues and returns to tracks after lengthy absences, along with traditional annual events, which have seen a tweak for the coming year. So let's go through it. They will start their season on February 7th and 8th at the Bubba Raceway Park. Then they are off for a single event in March at the Southern Illinois Center, and then they pick things up again in April. They have a midget week. When is their midget week? I'm just trying to skip. Newly christened. Okay, so that's Eastern Midget Week. We'll talk about that once we figure out when Indiana. All right, Indiana Midget Week starts on June. I'm just trying to read this stuff. Okay, all right. Indiana Midget Week will kick off on June 2nd at Paragon Speedway, and then continues on there. I am doing like this pointing thing with my fingers like way too much. I have no idea if you guys are seeing that or not, but I'm doing it way too much tonight. Paragon Speedway on June 2nd, Gas City I-69 Speedway on June 3rd, Lincoln Park Speedway June 4th, Bloomington Speedway June 5th, Lawrenceburg Speedway June 6th, and then Kokomo Speedway on June 7th. That is going to be a big week of racing, for sure. Eastern Midget Week will start off on August 4th at Grandview Speedway, then August 5th at Action Track USA, August 6th at Bridgeport Speedway, August 7th at Path Valley Speedway Park, and then August 8th at Lenco's Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway. The series races at Eldora, back-to-back dates, September 25th and 26th, and they will finish their season as they always do. Turkey Night Grand Prix at Ventura Raceway, November 25th and 26th of next year. So a lot of cool things there for the USAC midgets. And then with the Silver Crown Series, they kick things off on May 3rd at the Fairgrounds Speedway Nashville in Nashville, Tennessee. Then they race the Terre Haute Action Track on May 21st, Lucas Oil Raceway on May 22nd, Williams Grove Speedway June 12th, Madison International Speedway June 19th, Worldwide Technology Raceway on August 2nd, Selinsgrove Speedway August 9th, Salem Speedway August 15th, Illinois State Fairgrounds on August 22nd, the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds on August 6th, Eldora Speedway September 26th, and they will wrap up their year at the Toledo Speedway on October 4th. So there are all three major USAC Racing Series schedule announcements for 2020. The final schedule announcement that I have for you guys on this week's show was just given to us today. It's coming from the Sport Compact Dirt Racing Association. They still have some things to fill in here, but the majority of their schedule has been released. This is kind of like a four-cylinder series that races like advanced cars. I know my good friend Wes is friends with people who race this stuff down in Florida, and they kind of travel around and attend these races. Their season will kick off February 6th through the 8th at Screven Motor Speedway for Winter Freeze X. Is that 10? Winter Freeze 10. Winter Freeze 10, I think is what X is, right? In Roman numerals. I'm guessing that's what that stands for. Then on March 20th and 21st, they race at the Cherokee Speedway. All-Tech Raceway on June 5th and 6th. Fayetteville Motor Speedway on June 19th and 20th. Lakeview Motor Speedway, July 10th and 11th. Back to Screven Motor Speedway on July 18th. The Modoc Raceway on August 7th and 8th. They go all the way up north to Atomic Speedway on September 6th in Waverly, Ohio. That's a hell of a trip for those guys, as this is usually a southern series. Livonia Speedway, September 18th and 19th. Volusia Speedway Park, October 2nd and 3rd. And then they will cap off their year again at Screven Motor Speedway, November 19th and the 20th. In the post, they are still working on a date for Cochrane. The Cochrane Motor Speedway, I think it is. So So still some updating to do there with that schedule, but that is the majority of the SCDRA schedule for 2020. Lots of events. Pretty cool stuff. Coming out of those guys. So if you are in those areas, I would recommend checking those things out. Okay, so we're done talking about schedules. We had a lot of schedules to talk about. We are through talking about that. Now we have a lot of driver announcements to talk to you guys about from this past week. We'll start with Clauson Marshall Racing. They announced this past week that Cole Bodine is going to pilot their number 39 BC Driven to Save Lives midget on the entirety of the 2020 USAC Racing midget series. That's totally not what it's properly called. But the USAC NOS Energy Drink National Midget Series, that is where Cole Bodine will be racing. Clauson Marshall Racing announced that it is continuing its partnership with Indiana Donor Network to promote organ, tissue, and eye donation and transplantation through the Driven to Save Lives campaign for the 2020 race season in honor of Brian Clauson. Driven to Save Lives, which launched in 2016 surrounding the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500, has been involved in dirt track racing with the goal of registering fans and racers to become donors in honor of Brian Clauson since January 2017. Since then, the campaign has raised awareness and encouraged well over 1,000 people to register their donation decisions through their partnership with Clauson Marshall Racing and sponsorship of various dirt track related events, including the Driven to Save Lives BC39 powered by NOS Energy Drink at the dirt track at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that's some of the information there about that partnership. About Cole stepping into a new role for Clauson Marshall Racing. Cole Bodine will pilot the Driven to Save Lives number 39 BC in 2020. Bodine is transitioning into a full-time competitor for the NOS Energy Drink USAC National Midget Series. Bodine is no stranger to the driver's seat as he previously ran for Clauson Marshall Racing in a limited number of races in 2018. He also ran the 2019 Chili Bowl Midget Nationals for Clauson Marshall Racing and solidified his spot in the Championship A-Main by finishing third on his preliminary night. So Cole Bodine running full-time in the 2020 USAC NOS Energy Drink National Midget Series. Great news for him, and he is not alone in midget announcements this past week because there was another. That other one being Andrew Laser. He was named Rookie of the Year for the 2019 USAC NOS Energy Drink National Midget season. He will be teaming up with Tucker Boat Motorsports in 2020 to take on the entire series schedule. After serving as a regular in the midgets out east in 2017 and 18, the Collegeville, Pennsylvania native made the leap to the national trail this past year for Clauson Marshall Racing, where he recorded 8 top 10 finishes in 24 starts, including leading his first laps in July at Sweet Springs, Missouri. The 3-time winner in USAC's Eastern Speed 2 Midget Division finished 11th in USAC National Midget Points for 2019, but the 18-year-old gasser is eager to up his game this coming season with a full season now under his belt. Laser said, quote, "I think it's a great opportunity for me. Team owner Chad Bowe is a great driver, a great crew chief, and a great mentor, and I'm really looking forward to working with him for the whole 2020 season. They have a great foundation for a team, and I think that showed with how strong they were this past year," unquote. So great news there for Andrew Laser. He is going full-time midget racing again in 2020, making the transition from Clauson Marshall Racing over to Tucker Boat Motorsports. Chris Windham will also be racing for Tucker Boat Motorsports in the USAC Midget Division come 2020. This is an article coming from speedsport.com, just waiting for it to load. States that 2-time USAC National Champion Chris Windham will drive for Tucker Boat Motorsports during the full 2020 NOS Energy Drink Full 2020 NOS Energy Drink USAC National Midget Series season. Windham's 2016 Silver Crown and 2017 AMSL National Sprint Car titles have him just one NOS Energy Drink USAC National Midget Series championship shy of becoming the 7th USAC Triple Crown champion to have won all 3 national titles in his career. It would add him to a group that includes Tony Stewart, J.J. Yaley, Pancho Carter, Dave Darland, Jerry Coons Jr., and Tracy Hines. The Canton, Illinois native, who now resides in St. Louis, Missouri, believes Tucker Boat Motorsports provides him with an opportunity to become the next in that group. He said, quote, "They run a top-notch operation. They pay close attention to detail, as does everyone at the top of the midget standings, but it just felt like I've always gotten along great with Chad. At the point I'm at in my career, this is the right move for me," unquote. Windham arrives at Tucker Boat Motorsports following a successful 2019 campaign with Clausen Marshall Racing, with whom he collected his first 2 career series wins at Lawrenceburg Speedway and Pennsylvania's Grandview Speedway. I was there for that. Following the season, Windham and CMR parted ways. He then scoped out the possible landing spots, and a deal was made with Tucker Boat to step into a full-time ride. He goes on to say, quote, "I have nothing bad to say about anybody at CMR. We had a great year, and without Tyler having a record-setting season, I think we would have been battling for a championship. I have nothing but good things to say about all those guys there. They definitely worked their butts off to give me a great car all year, but once I left there, I felt this was the best opportunity out there to go to," unquote. Chad Boat said on the Mood, quote, "I've had the opportunity to race with Chris for a long time. We've both been around USAC and done other types of racing, and I think we'll complement each other very well. I think as a driver, I have an understanding of what he'll need in the car. We definitely have high expectations for the team that we can go out and compete for wins every night," unquote. So a big move there. Chris Windham trying to chase down that Triple Crown Championship with a USAC midget title, and he will do so for Tucker Boat Motorsports in 2020, joining Andrew Laser. In the USAC sprint car world, we had some driver announcements this past week as well. The first one starting with Logan Seavey. Logan Seavey is going to be racing full-time in the 2020 USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Championship with Reinbold Underwood. Seavey of Sutter, California. He captured the 2018 USAC NOS Energy Drink National Midget title and finished as the runner-up to Tyler Courtney during this year's campaign with 3 victories and an Indiana Midget Week title under his belt. The 22-year-old driver joins Reinbold Underwood Motorsports, who snagged the USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Owner Championship with driver CJ Leary in 2019. Last week, Leary announced his plans to race for Gene Guile Racing for 2020. In turn, Seavey steps onto the championship-ready seat as the new driver for the team, although he has plenty of previous experience with the Arizona-based operation. In 2019, Seavey's 8 starts all came in a second Reinbold Underwood car, resulting in his first career USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car victory on the second night of Sprint Car Smackdown 8 at Kokomo Speedway in August, where he led all 30 laps. Seavey was fifth the following night during the SmackDown finale and was the fastest qualifier during the Western World Championships at Arizona Speedway in November. Seavey was also victorious in USAC Sands Chevrolet Southwest Sprint Car competition with Reinbold Underwood in April of 2019 at Arizona Speedway. So, some awesome news there for Logan Seavey. He's going to go full-time sprint car racing in 2020. On the move, he said, quote, "Our team chemistry is good. I've been racing with the team for a little over a year, and we've run 20 or so races together, so that's a big start. I've already run a couple of USAC seasons, so I've been to a lot of the racetracks we're going to and raced against pretty much every guy we're going to be racing against next year. We're definitely not starting from scratch by any means. I think we'll come out of the gate good and compete for a championship," unquote. So, Logan Seavey will definitely be one to watch on the full USAC Sprint Car Tour next year. This will be the first time he's racing it full-time, but he's had a lot of success in his racing career thus far and shouldn't have any problems adapting to the sprint car full-time. Justin Grant announced his plans for 2020 this past week. He's going to stay with Top Motorsports for another year in the USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Championship. That is the team owned by Kevin Birchmeyer. Kevin said about that re-signing, quote, "Having Justin on our team has been such a blessing. We've learned a lot the past 2 years. And we have a lot of great support behind us. Our crew chief, Mark, is phenomenal. We're lucky to have him and the rest of the talented crew we put together. We can't wait for the 2020 season to gear up and get back to the track," unquote. Justin Grant said this about the re-signing, quote, "We've been together 2 years and it's been such a great experience. It wasn't really a question of whether or not we were going to continue the partnership next year. It's a solid team and we work well together. I'm excited to get things kicked off again next year and get back in the number 4, unquote. So good news there for Justin Grant. Justin Grant, another top driver in the USAC ranks. He's going to stay with Top Motorsports and that number 4 car for 2020. Just a little information about them and some of their successes throughout the 2019 season. While the team didn't earn the top spot they were looking for in 2019, they had multiple successes throughout the season. With veteran crew chief Mark Schambarger behind the wrench, the team achieved 3 total USAC race wins and 1 additional non-points win at Kokomo Speedway on August 21st. For the hashtag GYATK night, Grant's season stats show 20 top 5 feature finishes and 28 top 10 feature finishes, leading a total of 86 feature laps throughout the 2019 season. Grant also earned 4 fast qualifying times and 10 heat race wins throughout the season. Ultimately, the Grant and the team finished 5th in overall USAC National Championship points. Additionally, some extra practice evenings at Kokomo Speedway led Grant and the team to earn the Kokomo Speedway Track Champion title for 2019. So, some awesome successes there in 2019. Obviously, looking to build on that for 2020. Mentioned it in the Logan Seavey announcement. We'll talk more about it here. Logan Seavey taking over the ride that CJ Leary won the championship in with this year, and CJ Leary moving on to a new team. He is going to be competing with Gene Guile Racing and their number 1 car for the entirety of the 2020 USAC Games Zone National Sprint Car season. Leary makes the move to Phoenix, Arizona-based GGR team, to the Phoenix, Arizona-based GGR team following a single season at Rainbow Underwood Motorsports in 2019, which resulted in a USAC AMSO National Sprint Car title following 2 victories and series best 32 top 10 finishes in 34 starts. That is how you win a championship. However, the GGR team, led by Gene and his son, USAC Sans Chevrolet Southwest Sprint Car driver Dennis Guile, have had an eye on putting a program in place for Leary of Greenfield, Indiana. Leary said, quote, "I'm looking forward to the opportunity to drive for these guys. Dennis has been trying to get me to run for him this whole past year. He had been hinting to me that he's been wanting to do something. Finally, everything came together," unquote. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just ate Taco Bell beforehand, so I am all sorts of screwed up right now. CJ continued on saying, quote, "Andy let me go at the end of the season." Andy Reinbold. He just said he couldn't make a commitment to me. He did everything he said he was going to do. We set out to win a championship, and that's what we did. There's no hard feelings there, unquote. He goes on to continue saying a lot of other things. Quote, "We've got a long 2 months ahead of us before Florida. I'm really looking forward to getting started. I don't really like the off-season with the downtime and whatnot. The biggest part is the waiting game. We ordered 4 new motors from One Way Technology, ordered 6 new DRC cars from Joe Devon, and 6 new rear ends from DMI. This stuff just doesn't happen overnight. Until we get all the parts to assemble the cars, we're just going to sit around and wait. When we get everything, it'll only take a couple days to build the cars. We got a truck and trailer and a new mule on order. It's an all-new team, and it's going to be top-notch. We're going to come out of the gate swinging." So, that sounds like a pretty good move for CJ. Obviously, a place that he's been wanting, a place where he has been wanted for a while. Finally coming around to make it happen for 2020. And as the defending series champion, he will obviously be looking to try to double it up and go back-to-back with 2 different organizations. Alrighty. So we're moving on to some winged sprint car news. This was a pretty interesting story that came out last week. This coming from an article on SprintCarMidget.com. That TRD is set to design World of Outlaws engines, which is pretty cool. For fans of sprint car racing, it's gearing up to be a big time for the discipline, as major engine manufacturer competition will soon be fully in the mix. Toyota Racing Development, celebrating its 40th anniversary of American motorsports heritage this year, is in the design phase of developing a sprint car engine to meet World of Outlaws regulations. The news comes just months after the long-awaited Ford Performance sprint car engine made its on-track debut at the hands of Tony Stewart and Tony Schatz. Tyler Gibbs, general manager of TRD, said, quote, "We're excited to design and ultimately see Toyota compete in sprint cars. We have and will continue to enjoy our time in midget racing and look forward to this expansion into sprint car competition. This provides us an opportunity to not only design a new engine, but also to expand our grassroots racing presence and continue to seek out and develop up-and-coming talent," unquote. TRD is currently working with established engine builders Speedway Engine Development Incorporated and Ryder Racing Engines, as well as All Pro Aluminum Cylinder Heads Incorporated and Mobile One to develop the engine. Once designed, engine builders will be able to purchase TRD-sourced castings to build customer engines. The castings will be available in late 2020 in advance of the 2021 season. The aluminum block engine will meet the World of Outlaws, All-Star Circuit of Champions, USAC, and other Sprint Car Series rules, both in 410 cubic inch and 360 cubic inch displacements. In late 2007, Toyota debuted a Toyota 360 engine for USAC Silver Crown competition, which was a derivative of the cast iron 8-cylinder Toyota engine used in the NASCAR Xfinity and Gander Truck Series. The program has seen 22 victories, 1 driver's championship, 2 team titles, and is still run on occasion in the series. Toyota's open-wheel dirt and pavement journey began in 2006. Since then, Toyota has competed in national midget car racing in both the USAC and POWRi series, with Toyota drivers winning more than 270 national midget car events and a combined 10 driver championships. So really cool to see Toyota coming back and making themselves present in the dirt sprint car world. Toyota just has a phenomenal program when it comes to the motorsport side of things, and they are probably not going to fail here. Insane amount of success in NASCAR. Toyota is just doing so many things right in the motorsports world that this just makes sense, and I'm sure they're going to succeed at it pretty much right off the bat. Continuing on, Zeb Wise had multiple stories come out this past week on some things that he's going to be doing next year. The bigger of the two is that he's going to go full-time racing with the All-Star Circuit of Champions next year in the number 11 410 winged sprint car for Sam McGee Motorsports. Coming from an article on speedsport.com, the team will utilize Maxim chassis and Fisher Racing engines during the 2020 All-Star campaign. Sam McGee and Derek Miller will be turning the wrenches on the car for team owners Mike and Kathy McGee. Wise made his first 410 wing sprint car starts with Sam McGee Motorsports at Jacksonville Speedway with the MOWA Sprints on October 4th and 5th. Wise hard charged to 6th from 20th on night 1 and took his first 410 top 5 finish with a 5th place on night 2. The following weekend, the team headed to Ohio for the Fast on Dirt season finale at Waynesfield Raceway Park, where Wise finished 6th before heading to Southwest Indiana to race for the first time with the World of Outlaws. On his rookie night with the Outlaws, Wise qualified for the feature, where he started 20th and finished 14th. Sam McGee Motorsports and Wise competed with the World of Outlaws 3 more times through November, both at Port Royal Speedway during 2 events at the World Finals, and during 2 events at the World Finals at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sam McGee Motorsports recently finished its second full-time season with the All-Star Circuit of Champions this year as well. With driver Dave Blaney, the duo secured a runner-up finish in the Owners and Drivers Championships. In 2018, the team finished 7th in the Owners points, utilizing a stable of drivers, including Max McGee and Ryan Smith. So Zeb Wise has landed himself a full-time sprint car ride in 2020. He's going to do it with Sam McGee Motorsports in the Ollie's Bargain Outlet All-Star Circuit of Champions. That's not the only thing that he was making headlines for this past week. He will be joining Keith Coons Motorsports for the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals coming up next month. We've heard a lot of news of a handful of drivers that are leaving Keith Coons Motorsports in the midget world, but it will include this upcoming year, Zeb Wise. So, great news for Zeb. He lands himself a full-time sprint car ride. He lands himself a Chili Bowl ride. Things are looking very good for Zeb Wise in 2020. Of course, the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals kicking off in just under a month from now as the first major dirt racing event. Well, no, that's not really true. The World of Outlaws start here in like 2 weeks. Oh my god, that's awesome. At least in the midget world, it is the first major event of the year. And of course, we all know how successful Keith Kuz is in midget racing. He brings like 12 cars a year to the Chili Bowl. He's had ridiculously talented drivers compete for him and win for him, so Zeb should fit in just fine. Late model dirt racing news. Don O'Neill, he will return to Masters Built race cars for select events in 2020. This is coming from a post made by 357's World of Dirt. As the performance racing industry show quickly approaches this weekend, old article, posted on the 11th, in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana, Don O'Neill confirmed today that he will join his son Hudson O'Neill in piloting Masters-built race cars during the 2020 racing season, following a successful 6-year stint with Clint Bowyer Racing, which netted a 2014 Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series National Championship and several marquee wins, including the 2017 USA Nationals for $50,000, the 2014 Show Me 100 for $30,000, the 2014 Hillbilly 100 for $25,000, the 2014 Clash at the Mag for $20,000, and the 2017 and 2019 Pittsburgher 100 for $20,000 each. Don will return to Masters Built race cars to wheel a second car for the Crothersville, Indiana-based chassis manufacturer in select events throughout the year. Don said, quote, "Before I get to 2020 plans, I have to thank Clint Bowyer, Casey Bowyer, and Chip Williams, along with my crew chiefs Jeremy Justice, Anthony Burrows, Brian Leonberg, and really everyone associated with CBR for the last 6 years. They gave me a tremendous opportunity, and we did a lot of great things together during my stint there, including getting that 2014 Lucas title. With that being said, returning to Masters Built race cars and driving for Tater Masters and Geraldine Masters again feels like I'm coming back home. They are family to me, and I'm excited to get back behind the wheel of one of their red and yellow number 71 cars again next year," unquote. While full details, sponsorship, and schedule are not near finalized, Don will run as a teammate to his son and new Masters Built house car driver Hudson O'Neill throughout the 2020 campaign. The Martinsville, Indiana star last drove for the Masters family from 2009 through 2013, when the real deal racked up multiple crown jewel triumphs, including the 2011 Dirt Late Model Dream for $100,000, the 2011 Dirt Track World Championship for $50,000, the 2012 and 2013 North-South 100 for $50,000 each, the 2012 Clash at the Mag for $20,000, and the 2013 Jackson 100 for $15,000. So as you can tell, Don O'Neill has won a lot of races for a lot of money. Whether it's with CBR, it's with Masters Built, there's a lot of success coming out of the O'Neill family, and now father and son will team up together to tackle the 2020 racing year with Masters Built race cars. So awesome news there for Don. Great stint at Clint Bowyer Racing. He left a great stint at Masters Built to head to Clint Bowyer Racing, and now he will leave Clint Bowyer Racing to go back to Masters Built, where he will continue to look to improve on his past successes and add to that ridiculously successful resume. On the World of Outlaws side of the late model world, we found out this past week that Scott Bloomquist and Chris Madden will both be racing the entirety of the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Models Series schedule. This is an article that was posted on dirtondirt.com. In a dramatic move that puts Hall of Famer Scott Bloomquist back on the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series full-time for the first time since his 2004 championship season, Dryden Performance Products today announced sponsorship for Bloomquist and fellow Team Zero driver Chris Madden to follow Dirt Car's national circuit. The addition of the 56-year-old Bloomquist and 44-year-old Madden, a winner of 3 Crown Jewel events after reconnecting with Bloomquist last summer, provides a jolt to a World of Outlaw tour dominated by 2-time champion Brennan Shepard, a record-tying 18 series victories in a 2019 season with only 4 full-time series drivers winning main events. The announcement was made Thursday in Dryden's booth on the opening day of the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show at the Indiana Convention Center in Indianapolis. Bloomquist, who won 3 2019 races in a season where he missed nearly 4 months because of injuries suffered in a March motorcycle accident, helped reform the World of Outlaws circuit in 2004 and is 7th in all-time series victories at 32. He's primarily raced full-time on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series since 2009, winning 3 titles, most recently in 2016. Madden, who has 26 career World of Outlaw victories, ran the series full-time in 2017 and 18 and the first half of the 19 season, finishing a career-best second in points in 2017. In an announcement a week earlier, Dryden also announced a 2-year agreement to become primary sponsor for Canadian driver Ricky Weiss, another Bloomquist race cars competitor and 2019's World of Outlaws Rookie of the Year. So Chris Madden and Scott Bloomquist are coming back to the World of Outlaws Tour. Dryden having a major part to do with that. So, 2 big names coming back to the series. A big sponsorship announcement. Great for Team Zero. And it should be fun to see what they can do up against the World of Outlaw guys like Brendan Shepard, Chase Younghands, Ricky Weiss, and so on and so forth. As I just said a few minutes ago, their season is actually going to kick off here in 2 weeks at that new Vado Speedway Park. So that should be pretty cool to see how all that goes. World of Outlaws racing before the Dirt Car Nationals. Isn't it awesome? I love it. Brian Shirley announced this past week that he's going to be racing the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series in 2020. Pretty short, sweet little Facebook post on his racing page says, for the 2020 season, we'll be following the Lucas Oil Late Model Series. I can't thank all of our sponsors, crew, and Bob and Lisa for this opportunity, and also to all our fans for their continued support. I'm so sick and tired of seeing racing pages and people and drivers say, can't thank blah, 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 blah enough. He doesn't even remember to say enough. So he's saying, I can't thank these guys. Why can't you thank them? You probably should thank them. But either way, Brian Shirley will race full-time on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series schedule in 2020. Honestly, that series is probably the series with the better star power than World of Outlaws. World of Outlaws is kind of dying out with star power. Shane Clanton just moved from World of Outlaws to Lucas Oil. Of course, you have Bloomer and Madden coming over to the World of Outlaws. But I think most people will agree, you got more star power over in that Lucas Oil series right now. So, I guess we'll see how the numbers fall entirely for 2020. But I would probably expect the same thing to happen again next year. So, one last little piece of late model news. We've got a World of Outlaws rookie contender announcement that came out this past week. That would be from Matt Cosner. This is an article coming from the MSR Mafia Facebook page. It says, when West Virginia's Matt Cosner embarks on his 7th year of dirt late model competition in 2020, it will be with a new challenge on the horizon. The pilot of the Nelson Auto Sales number 66C RH-LET Mechanical Contractors XR1 Rocket Chassis Hershey's Racing Engine Super Late Model is tossing his name into the hat as a contender for the Rookie of the Year title with the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series. He said, quote, if you had asked me 3 years ago if I'd ever try to run a national tour, I would have probably told you that you were crazy. However, since 2016, our program has progressively been on the upswing with regional success. We've stepped out to some new tracks over the past few years and made additional gains. We're going to start the year with the Outlaws in New Mexico and Florida. After Speed Weeks, we'll evaluate our performances and where we sit in points. From there, we'll decide if we'll go full speed ahead with a run at the rookie title or head a different direction. Right now, my primary goals are to learn and improve, unquote. Cosner knows that a tall order waits in front of him if he runs a national tour for the first time in his career, but he's excited about the opportunity. He continued on to say, quote, "This is an exciting time for my team and I. We've made a lot of preparations toward being able to do this and have a lot of support behind us. There's no way it would be possible without the support of my family, my team, and my sponsors." Continuing on. Additionally, we have two businesses and have great employees at both places. They are all very supportive and capable to handle things while we are racing. Their hard work and support mean a lot to me, unquote. There we go. Here we go. The 2020 World of Outlaw docket comes to life on January 3rd through 5th at the brand new Vado Speedway Park in Vado, New Mexico, with a trio of events. The first two races pay $5,000 to the winner, while the finale at the Royal Jones-owned Oval posts a $10,000 top prize. Matt Cosner Racing recently launched a brand new cyber home, which can be viewed at www.mattcosner.com and is ground zero for the latest team news. So pretty cool news there for Matt Cosner, not a driver that I've ever heard of before, but he's going to go national racing for the first time, try to chase the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series Tour Rookie of the Year. We'll see if he says after those first two major events they're going to evaluate performance and go from there. Would be great to see him continue to do that. The more the merrier for the World of Outlaws Tour. And bringing in new talent and new names is always a good thing. So should be pretty cool to see how well he does, and hopefully he's able to stick with the tour throughout the year. All right, so we've gotten through all that news, a lot of news, as you can obviously tell. We do have a very, very small amount of racing results to talk to you about. The Livonia Speedway ran this past weekend. I think they raced on Sunday. They had the latest Extreme Dirt Car Series race, as well as a handful of other things. So we'll run through and tell you how that all went. They ran 5 different divisions and then 2 little specials, it looks like. They are, at least on their Facebook page, they posted their top 3 finishers, so I don't have more in-depth results, but we'll just go with what we got here, make it quick, simple, and easy. At Livonia Speedway, in their Stock 8 division, their top 3 finishers were Ronnie Poole, Jack Hill, and Stephen House. In the front-wheel drive division, J.B. Moser picked up the win, Hunter Anthony was second, and Wayne Chapman was third. In the 602 Crate Late Model feature, Ty Lowe picked up the dub, Jeff Robinson second, Seth Wimpy was third. I wonder if he's strong or not. Ha. In the 602 Chargers division, the win was claimed by Baron McDowell. Colton Baring finished in second, and Jonathan Montgomery rounded out the top 3 there. And then in the Dryden Dirt Car Series, the Dryden Extreme Dirt Car Series, that race was won by Zach Mitchell. Trent Ivey finished in second, and Chris Madden was the 3rd place finisher. They also did a grudge match and a demo derby. The grudge match was won by Kevin Kelly, and the demo derby won by Brandon Davis. So congratulations to all of those drivers for their successful runs. That is the last Extreme Dirt Car Series race for 2019. They will race again in a handful of weeks in the middle of January. They are 3 races into their 6-race series, so halfway through, and they will pick things back up in the middle of January. So not really a ton of racing results there to chit-chat about, but at least there was something there to mention, and glad that we were able to do that. Final little piece of discussion here before I decide to send things over to you guys. If there's anything that I missed that you are interested in talking about. And that is the unfortunate news that we learned yesterday about Bill Simpson. Bill Simpson unfortunately passed away after complications with a stroke that he had on Friday. He was 79 years old. We're just pulling up the article here that was shared to our group. Kind of to read a little bit more into it, this is a speedsport.com article, and it says, motorsport safety pioneer and racer Bill Simpson died Monday afternoon after suffering a stroke late last week. He was 79 years old. The news was confirmed by the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America via a Twitter post on Monday afternoon. Simpson was inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America in 2003. Born on March 14, 1940, Simpson spent most of his life involved in motorsports. He began his career behind the wheel of a race car, competing in drag racing, sports car racing, and open-wheel formula racing, including in SCCA and USAC IndyCar competition. He made 52 career IndyCar starts between 1968 and 1977. He produced 11 top 10 finishes, including a career best of 6th in the 1970 Milwaukee 200. His driving career peaked in 1974 when he qualified for the Indianapolis 500 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He qualified 20th for his lone start at Indianapolis, finishing 12th after falling out of the race with a piston failure. However, his focus on safety came long before his lone Indianapolis 500 start. In 1958, Simpson broke both of his arms during a drag racing crash at a California drag strip, which kick-started his interest in motorsport safety. In the aftermath of that crash, Simpson began developing rear-mounted parachutes to help slow dragsters following runs down drag strips. That innovation turned out to be the start of what would eventually become Simpson's business, Simpson Performance Products. Through the years, Simpson's product offering would continue to grow. In 1967, Simpson met NASA astronaut Pete Conrad, who introduced him to a material known as Nomex. Using Nomex, Simpson created the first modern fire suit, a uniform worn by drivers to help prevent injuries from fire while racing. The Nomex fire suit was a massive hit with drivers, and at the next Indianapolis 500, nearly the entire field was outfitted with Simpson fire suits. Simpson had enough confidence in his product to set himself and his suit on fire to prove how durable his suits were. Simpson continued to race through 1977, but eventually gave up driving in order to focus on his business. After admitting that during a practice lap at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he was thinking about a phone call I was supposed to make. The California native eventually left the company he founded in July of 2001 in the aftermath of the crash at Daytona International Speedway that ended the life of Dale Earnhardt. He remained involved in auto racing safety and founded Impact Racing in 2002. He sold that company to the owners of Mastercraft Safety in 2010. In addition to entering the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, Simpson was inducted into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Hall of Fame in 2014. Simpson is survived by his son. He also was a devout animal enthusiast whose Manageri, I've never seen that word before, included his beloved dog, Maya, camels, and other pets. A celebration of his life is being planned for this May at the IMS Museum, with details pending. So, some very unfortunate news about Bill Simpson yesterday, but absolutely worth passing on. He was a pioneer in the world of motorsports. His impact will absolutely never be forgotten, and definitely a huge loss to the racing world for sure. So we wish everybody in the Simpson family the absolute best as they deal with his passing. So that's all that I've got, my friends. Lots of things discussed tonight. We're definitely getting down towards the end of the time for the show, but as we always do, we will kick things over to you here for a little bit. See if there's anything that you would like to discuss that was not discussed on this show already. Any questions you have for me, racing plans of your own, anything like that, we'll chit-chat with you for a short little bit of time. And it looks like we do have a few things to chit-chat about. My throat is very raspy, to say the least. Alright, so Mod Chaser Mitch giving us some things to chat about. We did talk about the Grand State Pro Stock Series. Let's see here. Tri-Track Open Modified Series forms alliance with Pepsi. A Speed51.com article. Tri-Track Open Modified Series officials announced on Thursday they have entered an alliance with Pepsi effective for the start of the 2020 season. This alliance with Pepsi is just one of many additions planned for the new season and will continue to provide drivers and race teams with additional incentives while competing with the Tri-Track Open Modified Series. Pepsi products are well known not only across the country but the globe. As part of this alliance, the Pepsi Challenge has been announced for heat races at all 6 events during the 2020 season. Each of the heat race winners will receive a bonus as part of this Pepsi Challenge. This gives us Wayne Darling, managing partner of the Tri-Track Open Modified Series and owner of Seekonk Grand Prix in Seekonk, Massachusetts, said, quote, "This gives us a name brand behind us, which will help us in every aspect of our series. We are looking forward to working with Pepsi in this alliance," unquote. Both Darling and series managing partner Ed Bennett are working on specific details surrounding the entire season and will release more information soon. The Tri-Track Open Modified Series website is currently under construction with a new platform set to roll out soon. Pre-registration for the 2020 season will be released in January. The 2020 Tri-Track Open Modified Series schedule includes 6 races at 4 different tracks across 2 different states. The season begins at Monadnock Speedway on Saturday, May 2nd and continues high up in New Hampshire at Claremont Speedway on Sunday, May 24th. The tradition continues with the annual Open Wheel Wednesday at Seekonk Speedway on July 1st, followed by a return trip to Star Speedway for the SBM 125 on July 25th. The second of 2 stops at Monadnock Speedway on August 15th and the Haunted Hundreds at Seekonk Speedway on October 24th wrap the schedule. Oh my gosh. I can't go long distances or long times like this without making gross and weird noises. I apologize. So good news for the Tri-Track Open Modified Series. Always good to find partners, and it's especially good to find partners like Pepsi, who's been involved with racing for quite a while. So really awesome for them there. 2020 Moose Smyrna. Yep, we talked about that as well. Let's see. Looks like some information here about the crash that killed Ted Christopher a couple years ago. This is an article from racedayct.com. And it says, the National Transportation Safety Board released its final report Tuesday on the crash that killed legendary short track racer Ted Christopher on September 16, 2017. In its final determination, the NTSB found that the probable cause of the crash was, and then it cuts into part of the report, says a total loss of engine power due to fuel starvation as the result of foreign object debris in the fuel selector valve. Contributing to the accident was the pilot's selection of a low cruising altitude, which reduced the available time to troubleshoot the loss of engine power and afforded fewer forced landing site options and improper maintenance of the airplane, which allowed a portion of a shop towel into the fuel system. It was reported in October that the pilot of the plane was not certified to fly at the time of the crash because of medical conditions dating back more than a decade. Pilot Patrick Dundas, who was 81 at the time of the crash, had his flight certification denied by the Federal Aviation Administration in 2007, according to the Aviation Accident Factual Report released in October by the NTSB. Christopher was killed along with Dundas when the single-engine 1964 Mooney M20C they were traveling in crashed in North Branford. Christopher was 59 years old at the time of the crash. In the NTSB final analysis, it was determined that Dundas' medical issues did not contribute to the crash. The NTSB final analysis reads as such below, and it's a huge article that, wow, this is a massive article. But you get the gist of all the information there. So they've determined a cause for the crash. The gentleman that was piloting the plane should not have been flying. And his choice of altitude did have a small impact on the situation. Doesn't sound like it was anything major, but still, it's nice that they have found a complete cause for the accident. Of course, that's not going to help bring anybody back or anything, but if that information could absolutely be used to prevent anything from happening in the future, that would be great. But we'll have to see what happens with that from here. So, some good information to pass along. Definitely not something that I would have thought would be brought up today. That was an article that was created today on racedayct.com. So, it's never easy to deal with incidents like that, but it's always nice to learn more about those situations. So hopefully that they can be prevented in the future, and nobody else has to ruin, or nobody else has to go through those experiences again. I have successfully just about finished my water. All right, RaceProWeekly.com article, another thing posted, had some Hall of Fame announcements. Mike McLaughlin, Johnny McArdle, Jeff Hetzler, and Charlie Langenstein to be inducted into the NISCA Hall of Fame. The article states, after great deliberation, the New York State Stock Car Association's Hall of Fame committee has narrowed an outstanding field of candidates to 3 superstar drivers and an outstanding mechanic/crew chief for induction to NISCA's Hall of Fame. The slate is headed by Magic Shoes Mike Mclaughlin, a man who could truly drive anything and win, with his career taking him from the Weedsport, New York bullring to the superspeedways of NASCAR. Mclaughlin is joined by 2 other notable drivers, Central New Yorker John McArdle, and Orange County Fairgrounds Speedway star Jeff Hetzler, and ace mechanic Charlie Langenstein, the winning ingredient behind a bevy of star drivers over the years. The 51st Annual Banquet and Hall of Fame ceremony will be held on Saturday, February 22nd, 2020. The formal induction will take place at 11 a.m. at the Saratoga Automobile Museum in Saratoga Springs, New York, site of NISCA's permanent Hall of Fame display, with the banquet to follow at 4 p.m. at the Polish Community Center on Washington Ave Extension in Albany, New York. Mclaughlin, a Waterloo native, won his first dirt modified feature at Canandaigua at age 22, and by 1980 he was both the Rolling Wheels track champion and winner of the Speedway's 200-lap classic. A year later, he jumped into super modified racing in a former Jim Champagne offset roadster, notching wins at both New Hampshire's Star Speedway and Oswego before moving on to Norm Foster's Potato Wagon asphalt modified. An immediate winner, the diminutive wheelman would go on to 84 starts on the NASCAR Modified Tour, claiming some 16 wins, including the Martinsville 250 and the 1988 Tour Championship in Lenny Bowler's famed Old Blue No. 3. From there, McLaughlin moved into the NASCAR Xfinity Tour, where he won 6 races on a variety of speedways. In retirement, he developed a successful fabrication business in Mooresville, North Carolina, and today devotes himself to supporting the career of his son, Max, who is following a similar trajectory from dirt to NASCAR. Johnny McArdle was a fixture in Central New York from 1952 through 1976 in Dominic Tantello's iconic Lean-In 11 Modified, a contender on tracks ranging from the Weedsport Bull Ring to the long straightaway rolling wheels and Canandaigua speedways. McArdle's best year was 1964 when he won 27 features. McArdle claimed a number of track championships, including Weedsport in 1963 and 68, Rolling Wheels in 1975, Waterloo in 1960, and Canandaigua in 1964. He was always a contender at the highly competitive Labor Day New York State Fair Championship against such talents as Cliff Coterie and Wee Willie Allen, and claimed the Salt City 25, a NASCAR-sanctioned event for flatheads in conjunction with a NASCAR Sportsman / modified race on the Fairgrounds Mile. Jeff Hetzler is best known for his success at the Orange County Fairgrounds Speedway, where he was the big block champion in 1997, 03, 05, and 07, and the small block titleist in 1980 and 86. His 53 wins put him third on the OCFS all-time win list, but Hetzler also has 53 wins on the Accord Speedway Bull Ring and was the track champion at the Catskills Oval in 1983, 84, 85, 86, and 2015. Big wins on the Dirt Hall of Fame members' resume include a 358 championship score on the Syracuse Mile, the Mr. Dirt Track USA races at Lebanon Valley in 1987 and 95, the Race of Kings at Lebanon Valley in 1988 and 90, and the 2007 Eastern States 200 at Orange County. Other tracks where the Jeffer has visited Victory Lane included New York's Albany Saratoga and Rolling Wheel Speedways, and Florida's Volusia County Speedway. And finally, Charlie Langenstein has worked with an amazing array of talented drivers, among them Jimmy Horton, Brett Hearn, Danny Johnson, Will Cagle, Kenny Brightbill, Larry Voss, Rick Schaefer, Tom Corellis, and Rice Weinhart. After building a sprint car-like racer for owner Tony Fariolo and driver Ken Bren Jr. to close out the 80s, Langenstein moved south and won the NASCAR Busch Grand National Championship in 1989 with the late Rob Morosa. And other career highlights for the Dirt Hall of Fame member include designing and building a chassis at Richard Petty Motorsports that won in only its third race out with driver Bobby Hamilton in 1997 at Rockingham Speedway, being part of the Hendrick Motorsports team that won 5 consecutive Sprint Cup championships with Jimmy Johnson, and winning the prestigious Papa Joe Hendrick Award in 2008. I have to point out that they spelled Jimmy Johnson with a Y, the NFL Jimmy Johnson spelling, not the proper one. So good job, Race Pro Weekly. Who wrote this? Does it say who wrote it? No, it doesn't. But good job, whoever wrote that and fucked that up. The Papa Joe Hendrick Award of Excellence was founded in 1995 to honor a Hendrick Motorsports employee displaying leadership, teamwork, job performance, and exceeding expectations. Along with the Hall of Fame inductees, the NISCA banquet will honor racers from a number of speedways and the traditional special award winners. So some pretty awesome stuff going to be happening there in late February for the NISCA Hall of Fame. Again, Mike McLaughlin, Johnny McCardell, Jeff Hetzler, and Charlie Langenstein going to be the next inductees into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to those 4 gentlemen. Should be a great experience and a great event for all of them. Pretty cool stuff. Is Kyle planning on attending some tour mod races this year? You mean next year? I believe I do. So I'm hoping to do the Martinsville weekend in May, which would have the NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour on it, which would be my first race with that series. So there's that. Let's see here. Turkey Derby will probably be, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go back to Turkey Derby next year or not. Just kind of trying to scroll through my schedule and see what... No, I think that... that looks like it's the only thing as of right now. I know there was that race at Jennerstown, but that is the same day as a Crashorama event at Lake Erie Speedway. So that probably is going to take my attention, especially if I have a car and I can race in that, because it really isn't all that far away from me. I think it's like a 3.5 hour drive. So that's totally worth bringing a race car out for. So yeah, it looks like that is the only thing that I have on my schedule for the moment. So, I don't know. I do not know. That's all that I have at the moment. At the ice. When is the icebreaker in April? When in April is that? Isn't that usually the same? Oh, that's something I also wanted to look at. I need to make this whole Talladega thing happen. That's big time bucket list, is Talladega. Talladega is during High Bank Holdup weekend. But since High Bank Holdup weekend is no longer a big block race, maybe I should just do it this year instead. April 26th, Geico 500. The weekend prior is the battle of, or that whole week prior is the Battle of the Bay Speed Week, like down south and stuff. So, yeah, this is the time of the year where I just get crazy with my racing schedule. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go here, there, and everywhere and figure out how to come up with the money for it all later. And then if I don't, I just take it off the schedule and replace it with something else. April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Oh, yeah, that's right. You asked me about that because that's that 600 lapper at Shady Bowl that I want to do. So I would probably say no. There's a 600 lap enduro race at Shady Bowl Speedway on April 4th that I would love to do. It is such a hike. It's like an 8.5 hour with a car and trailer. That might be more like a 9-10 hour drive for me. But I would not give a damn to run a 600 lap enduro. I mean, I wouldn't run the whole 600 laps. I would split it with people, but that would be a blast to do, and I would absolutely love to do that. So that has my priority for the moment, but you never know what'll happen and what will change. That is still just under 4 months away. So my racing schedule is ever evolving and ever changing. I throw things down, I take them off, I put things in. It's never a set in stone schedule. If one thing doesn't happen and there's a possibility to do something else, then we change it. Like I screw around with this schedule. You know, I have to at least show you. All right, I know we're running long on this week's show. We'll close things up here in a few minutes, but as long as this works right. And it's not. Because it's probably not liking... I don't know. Well, I tried to show you. I tried to show the podcast world. But anyway, it is December 17th, and I currently have 121 races on my 2020 schedule. So, yeah. Nowhere close to race. Well, I mean, my first race is 2 weeks from tomorrow. But, yeah, I've got 2 weeks to get myself a race car for the hangover, so I got to get my ass in gear. But either way, jam-packed schedule. But all the major schedules are out now, so it's easy to make schedules. I just have to wait for like local racing events to come out. And that's also without adding like some of the things that we talked about tonight, the USAC schedules, Dirt Car 358 schedule, Sportsman schedule. There's still a lot of things for me to add on to this, so... God, I want to be racing. My cat has joined me. I want to be racing. I don't want to wait another 2 weeks to go to the track, even though I can use those 2 weeks to work and get money for a car. But I'm ready to go racing. So with that, I don't know about 150. 150 is pretty crazy. 150 is a pretty crazy number. I'd have to go like big time hardcore if I'm going to hit 150. Don't challenge me because I'm going to be tempted to do it, and I know that I shouldn't. But going to take some extreme race chasing to get to 150. So with that, this is where we're going to wrap things up for this week's show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I apologize for the late delay, or for the late day delay. But I needed yesterday for myself. Thank you guys for everything that you do. As always, make sure that you are in our Facebook group and you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. The Facebook group is just a place where we talk about, in general, racing discussion, things that we can bring onto the show to talk about, comments about the show, and basically anything else that fits into that category. And the YouTube channel is where we post all of these shows. So if you're not able to watch live, you can check that out on the YouTube channel. If you miss any portion of the show, any of the other shows, they're all up on our YouTube channel for you to enjoy. Make sure to join those links and share them around to help us grow the community. Big week up ahead for racing. We're actually going to have a lot of racing to talk about on next week's show. The indoor, or the Gateway Dirt Nationals, the America's Dome, I think it's called, in St. Louis is this weekend. So we'll have some awesome racing stuff to talk about on next week's show. And as always, every week so far during this off season has been filled with jam-packed news, so we will have plenty to talk about. I am for sure about that. So, thank you guys again for tuning in. Join the Facebook, join the YouTube, follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/chasingtheracing. If you're watching on YouTube, spread us around, help us grow, help us become something special and sexy. 11 shows in, we'll be back here for show number 12 next Monday. Yes, these next 2 weeks are holiday weeks, but I do still plan on doing these shows. 2 more shows for 2019, and then we're into the new decade, 2020, and going to start talking about some big-time racing from there. So, thank you again. Spread us around. Find some type of racing to enjoy this week. If you can get to the Gateway Dirt Nationals, be there. If not, there is a pay-per-view that you can watch. I don't know where. I think it's maybe Racing. I don't know. I'm not going to say where. Dirt on Dirt, something. Do the research. You can find the pay-per-view and buy it. I know we have at least one person in our group that's going to be there, so I'm sure he's going to give us a ton of information and coverage from that. Should be good. So we'll see you right here next Monday night to chit-chat about it all. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. Find some racing to enjoy. I need to enjoy a life where I don't do this 16 times a show because I did that way too much tonight. But it is what it is. We'll see you Monday, guys. Thank you. Have a good week. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Go racing. Woohoo. Green flags, checkered flags. Bye-bye.